They'd make him go to a shrink again to deal with his depression or his resentment of his father, the way they did after his mother disappeared when he was 9, and Dad gave up on searching for her. The shrink just wouldn't accept it when he screamed at him and said, "My mother's gone, and we don't know where she went, and everybody stopped looking. I'm not depressed, you moron. I'm sad. I'm pissed off." To which the shrink replied with questions like, "Do you feel better when you get to call a grown-up a moron and say words like pissed? Or worse yet, I think we're beginning to make progress." "Yeah, I didn't choke you for saying that, so I guess that's progress." Nobody even remembered these days that sometimes people were just plain miserable because something really bad was going on in their lives and they didn't need a drug. They needed somebody to say, "Let's go get your mother now, she's ready to come home," or "That was a great throw. Look, after all these years, Todd's become a terrific pitcher and he's great at math, so let's make him an astronaut." Ha ha, like that would ever happen. Instead, he took a kitchen timer with him out to the backyard every afternoon, and when it went off, he'd drop what he was doing and go inside and fix dinner. Jared kept trying to help, which was okay because Jared wasn't a complete idiot, even though he was only 7 and certifiably insane. Todd's arm was usually pretty sore from misthrowing the ball, so Jared would take his turn stirring things. There was a lot of stirring, because when Todd cooked, he cooked. Okay, he mostly opened soup cans or cans of beans or made mac and cheese, but he didn't nuke them, he made them on the stove. He told Dad that it was because he liked the taste better when it was cooked that way. But one day when Jared said, "Mom always cooked on the stove," Todd realized that's why he liked to do it that way. Because Mom knew what was right. It wasn't all soup or beans or macaroni. He'd make spaghetti, starting with dry noodles and plain tomato sauce and hamburger in a frying pan. And Dad said it was great. Todd even made the birthday cakes for all their birthdays, including his own, and for the last few years he made them from recipes, not from mixes. Ditto with his chocolate chip cookies. Why was it he could calculate a half recipe involving thirds of a cup and couldn't find n in the equation n equals 5? He took a kind of weird pleasure from the way Dad's face got when he bit into one of Todd's cookies, because Todd had finally remembered or figured out all the things Mom used to do to make her cookies different from other people's. So when Dad got all melancholy and looked out the window or closed his eyes while he chewed, Todd knew he was thinking about her and missing her, even though Dad never talked about her. "I made you remember her," Todd said silently. "I win." Jared didn't talk about Mom, but that was for a different reason. For a year after Mom left, Jared talked about her all the time. He would tell everybody that the monster in his closet ate her. At first, people looked at him with fond indulgence. Later, they recoiled and changed the subject. He only stopped after Dad finally yelled at him, "There's no monster in your closet." It sounded like somebody had torn the words from him, like pulling off a finger. Todd had been doing the dishes while Dad put Jared to bed, and by the time Todd got to the back of the house, Jared was in his room crying, and Dad was sitting on the edge of his and Mom's bed, and he was crying. And then Todd, like a complete fool, said, "And you send me to a shrink?" Dad looked up at Todd with his face so twisted with pain that Todd could hardly recognize him. And then he buried his face in his hands again. And so Todd went into Jared and put his arms around him and said, "You've got to stop saying that, Jared." "But it's true," Jared said. "I saw her go. I warned her, but she did the very exact thing I told her not to do, because it almost got my arm the time I did it, and—" Todd hugged him closer. "Right, I know, Jared, I know. But stop saying it, okay? Because nobody's ever going to believe it." "You believe me, don't you, Todd?" Todd said, "Of course I do." Where else could she have gone? Why not agree with the crazy kid? Todd was already seeing a shrink. He had nothing to lose. But if we talk about it, they'll just think we're insane.